What is going on, Broncos country? Welcome to another edition of Bourbon, Broncos, and No B.S., where your Denver Broncos are now 4-3 on the season after beating the Saints, and Thursday Night Football is the away team. Big news there. But then we also got an important game coming up this weekend, as it is maybe not against a necessarily tough opponent, but this could be a trap game, and Dave and I are going to talk about that as well. So I got David here tonight. David, how you doing, good sir?
Doing fantastic, Kev. Good to talk about a Broncos win again. Good to talk about Broncos being over 500 again. Good to talk about a Broncos again, I'm not falling into this trap necessarily, but just the stats say have a better than 50% chance to make the playoffs as of this moment. So it's an interesting time to be a Broncos fan, if nothing else, right, Kev?
I mean, I cannot believe you said the P word. In any, it wasn't positive. It was just, it was a statement of fact, but you brought that up on your own.
I did. And I want to caveat that very quickly now. I want to bring the room back down a little bit from that high that I just hit, because guys, I'm glad we're not talking about the Ravens game yet, because boy, howdy, I think the Broncos are going to get pasted in that game, but we'll get there when we get there. Right now, we're talking about the New Orleans Saints last week and the Carolina Panthers this upcoming week. And yeah, Kev, we got another NFC South opponent who looks like they should be at least a decent matchup for this Broncos team, right? We'll get into all that. But all right, so get into it, because I didn't watch you guys do fantastic work on the post-game podcast. I'm begrudged to admit
thank
it.
you. You're going to make me blush.
True. It's true. Guys, check out the post-game podcast every day, usually Mondays. This last game, of course, was on Friday or Thursday, so the podcast was posted on Friday. But check that out every week. And so, Kev, what were your main takeaways from the Saints game?
One of the big takeaways, and we keep going back to this every week because it's the one thing everyone wants to hear about, Bo Nix. How's his progress doing? You know, is he coming along? The one question I hear week in, week out. Did he take a step forward or did he take a step back? And I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. I am going to go ahead and say, if anything, he took maybe a little bit of a step back in terms of his performance. Now, I think the situation is the game is slowly starting to slow down for him, but that internal clock just isn't there yet. It is still at full speed, and you can tell just he's off a little bit. And what I'm specifically talking about, those two wide open passes that as a quarterback in the NFL, I don't care if it's your first game. When you see a guy that is just ungodly open in an NFL game like that, not once, but twice. And one of them was definitely on third down there.
Yeah.
You have got to get the ball in the player's hands. There is no reason. Look, Bo was a little bit of pressure, but no QB hits, no sacks. He really had a clean pocket to work out of. So to see him miss on those was a kind of like, dude, this is your seventh game by this point. Those shouldn't even be a question. You know, we should be talking about how is your accuracy down the field? Are we getting more complicated? But we're not there yet, David. So what do you think?
Well, and I think the obvious problem on both of those throws, and the broadcast did a decent job of pointing it out, was just Bo Nix's feet were not set on either of those throws, and there was really I don't want to say especially, because on either throw there was no reason for his feet not to be set. He's taking half steps and drifting forward instead of backward, which I guess is progress, but you're still drifting. Just set your feet and throw the ball. And
it's like that Peyton Manning gif of him doing this.
Ooh. Absolutely.
This is Peyton Manning impersonating
voodoo. He's doing his voodoo. And we're going to get the thoughts of our third guest here, who has just joined our wonderful production in a minute. But first, I'm going to finish my point here, which is that Sean Payton had a chance to talk about Bo Nix's footwork specifically today or yesterday, I believe. And he gave an answer that I thought said more than Sean Payton said with his words, because that's the way he does things. He said that he is more concerned about Bo making plays within the structure of the offense, which I think you can see on those plays. I think if you see Bo Nix hit the drop on rhythm and throw the ball when it's supposed to be out, he's either going to hit Troy Franklin or Lucas Krull on that play that you were referencing, either one of them who were wide open, because his feet will be set and he's playing in rhythm of the play. And that's what the play calls for. I think that they also talked about not wanting to coach him out of trying to make plays with his legs because he's shown a talent for it. And so I do think there is that balance, but it did feel like they were leaning on the side of, yeah, we saw it and we weren't impressed by it. And we're talking to him about it. And he also knows, right? He's played a lot of college football. He knows to throw a good football, you're going to set your feet, right? So I think all of this is being a little bit more talked about in behind the scenes than it is to the media. But Jared, what about your thoughts on Bo Nix's footwork?
Yeah. I agree. I think he obviously had happy feet, right? Especially in that first half, a lot of happy feet, and that's why the balls ended up being like thrown pretty bad.
And does it just me, or is it just like more than one game? Bo Nix, like it feels like he's just nervous going out on that first drive.
And that's it. And that's what I kind of said too. And I think a lot of it is nerves, like you said. I think a lot of it is just like, this is an NFL game. It's a big game, especially on a Thursday night. It's his first primetime game. There's a lot of nerves there. But I do believe that maybe us, like in the media and us watching, are mistaken the happy feet for, obviously, like when you are in that situation, like if you have a 1-2 read and you're looking at your third read, yeah, you got to be able to set your feet for that. And he's not. What it looks like to me at first is he's going with the reads. The reads aren't there. So now he's keeping his feet working so that if he has to take off, he does. But if he doesn't, he needs to be able to set the feet to be able to make the throw, as opposed to trying to throw with, off balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wasn't super, obviously I'm mad about it because like wide open receivers, like wide open guys that are being missed. And normally he's pretty good on the run, which is also weird for me.
Yeah.
Normally when he's on the run, he's thrown on the run, he can hit those. But for some reason, when he was in the pocket and just moving his feet too much, he wasn't able to get anything behind it. And I think a lot of that is just nerves.
He hit one to Troy Franklin later in the game, rolling to his right. Yeah,
that was good.
It was like a 30-yard gain down the sideline. So
yeah, the other thing I want to say about this too is you saw a lot more of Bo Nix rolling out in this game than I have in the last couple games. And I like the fact that we're doing that, to give him the opportunity to run if he needs to, but also he's throwing good balls on the run, like on the rollouts. And it's moving the pocket, so it's taking a lot of pressure off of the offensive line to keep a good pocket. It's just making, the right or left side work a little bit harder on those rollouts. But with McGlinchey back, rolling out to the right, he's a right-handed thrower. It ended up working out pretty well for us a couple times.
Yeah. Now, the offensive line, I think, get to our next point here. Offensive line has been doing well, and then we get McGlinchey back. I think you definitely saw a huge improvement there in terms of how they performed as a unit. And I think that really showed not just when you're looking at the pocket, but you're looking at the run game. And what happened, guys? As our friend from Des from Broncos from Dummies would say, Javon Bay. Oh man, he looked good on TV, man. 88 yards on 14 carries. That's the Javonte Williams I know. When he got that second touchdown and he had to plow those last 7 yards to get to the end zone, that's him. That's what I've been looking for.
And I want to give Sean Payton a little credit here, who has caught some flack this year, and probably deservedly at times. But, the Saints for 2 weeks in a row had shown against their defensive front, if you attacked them with a certain formation, they were vulnerable to it with the run. And I think Sean Payton just decided they're not going to be able to fix, if they didn't fix that between weeks 1 and week 2 in the last 2 weeks, they're not going to fix it between Monday and Thursday. So he just did it again. And Javonte Williams ate all night long. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a good. Oh, good. I thought it was a really good game plan to attack the run game against that defense. It just worked out very well, and it opened up Bo Nix. Like you saw, even on the fact that he could have happy feet means the pocket was clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we got to give credit where it's due to that offensive line. The fact that he was missing wide open throws because he had happy feet on a third or fourth look, it means the pocket was clean. Even he didn't believe it a couple times. There was a couple times where he was stressing out, and he had like 3 yards all around him. And I think that's just something that he's going to have to get used to, or not used to, hopefully, depending on who we play each week. But I think that also played into a little bit of his happy feet too. I think he was expecting more pressure than he ended up getting because the offensive line just did a very, very good job protecting him.
Yeah. So, Wayne, I want to get your question up here. Kind of breaking up the talk about this game in particular, but now that we've seen this game, we've seen 7 full games. Are you guys interested in entertaining any type of trade, especially for someone like Cooper Kupp? What would it take for you? I mean, what are you guys thinking? Because me, no. But
Jared, you go first.
I don't know. I love our wide receivers. I have to ask you guys because I haven't been up on it. I've been traveling. What's the status of Cortland Sutton?
He's fine.
He's good to go.
No
He's fine.
this game.
Yeah, there's no problem as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. He pulled something.
I think he pulled something. He just didn't get targeted very much against the Saints. It just wasn't his game.
Okay. And then am I thinking about the Sunday game that he pulled something on the touchdown throw?
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he came up a little bit, but he was fine. I don't think he was even on the injury report.
Okay.
Last week, so
the only other person I'm obviously worried about is Josh Reynolds, very dynamic wide receiver. Getting him back would be nice.
Yeah.
But with guys like Vele and Troy Franklin stepping up, I don't know if we need and Humphreys. I don't know if we need an extra wide receiver. If there's any trade that I would be willing to go get, it'd be I can't pronounce his last name, out of Njoku, yeah, out of Cleveland, who's been kind of on the fence on whether or not he wants to stay out there. But a good tight end, I think that's really the biggest weakness on the offense specifically that we need to fill. And then with just injuries in general, I think defensively sometimes the injuries can stack up too. I wouldn't be surprised if we went out and got maybe a linebacker or something, but I think our defense is showing pretty well right now.
Yeah.
But I think the only trade would be tight end.
So I'm thinking, if we got a running back, if we got a tight end, is that going to really drastically impact this offense right now? Because it's like the thing that's holding, if you want to call it holding the offense back, is just the development of Bo Nix. And that's not necessarily like maybe one more key player, but like Roy says here, rebuild, not rental. We've done the rental thing enough. Are we going to get a guy for a year, maybe 2? Like, what is that going to do for us? So, David, I don't know if you have anything with that.
If you're going to trade for any wide receivers right now, guys, I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to be traded off the Jets this season. But if they lose another game, like maybe they start getting calls, that or T. Higgins is the kind of receiver that I want to trade for, meaning a guy who is under the age of 30 and who doesn't have a ridiculous injury history. Those are the only kind of trades I'm entertaining for a wide receiver, and I don't think it's going to be realistic as far as price, even if those guys are on the block necessarily. So, no, I would rather just keep your draft picks, draft guys who, when you have a full complement of draft picks going into next season, right? Go out there and fill your holes that way, build around your young quarterback and let the team grow together. Kev, to your point, you're trying to see Bo Nix develop, right? I don't know that you help his development right now by introducing another receiver who he has no chemistry with, as opposed to guys who he's at least been working with in practice, right?
Yeah. And if you look at specifically his last game, if you're looking at just the New Orleans game, like absolutely, like I don't think there's anybody that we need to go get. The tight ends were getting open, the offensive line was doing well. The running game was working. Like we have 3 great running backs in the backfield. I don't think there's anybody on that offense that we really need to replace. Now, if you look at some of the other games, that's when you're starting to look at, like, I'd like to have a tight end that could get a little bit more separation, vice having to rely on the scheme to be wide open like we were against New Orleans. But obviously the scheme is what drives offenses. And I think that, right, what you saw against New Orleans is probably what we're going to see a little bit more going forward. But they might even leave our tight ends open that way just because they know that it's a little bit more of a struggle in our offense.
Yeah. Well, and at least Lucas Kroll has looked. I would say Lucas Kroll's performance at tight end has been okay. I think he had one great catch, and like that was the first example to me, Like I can think of maybe 3 other times this year where Bo Nix made like a 50-50 throw to a guy who actually went out and made a play for him. Lucas Kroll went up and made a play for Bo Nix over the middle of the field that game and made his young quarterback look a little better. And I certainly haven't seen that from Greg Dulcich all season. So I'll give Lucas Kroll that at the very least.
Let's see. First off, Ken, I saw your comment. I'm going to pull that up when we talk about the Panthers here in a little bit. Keith, looking at building through the draft. I mean, that's what the Chiefs are doing right now. Patriots did it. Chiefs are doing it right now, and that's what we need to do and replicate. Let's see. Ken, this comment here. Sean Payton's trying to run with the offense that just needs to be steady and crawl, walk, basic steps. I agree. I mean, the team is younger overall. So we are talking a lot about just Bo, but there are a lot of young players in the tight end room, wide receiver room. And I don't know if it's them running the wrong routes or not. I think there's just a lot of experience that needs to be gathered across the entire team.
See, and that's where I feel like, especially when you see guys on 2 plays that stand out to me against the Saints specifically, where 2 guys are running open. That's what Sean Payton's offense does. That's what that to me tells me that the skill player positions know where they're supposed to be. And so I don't know that it's like you said, Kev, I don't know that it's necessarily running the wrong routes. But I do agree that it is young guys, just everybody trying to get on the same page at once. Right. And it's we're seeing it grow on the field. I think we are fortunate to have good enough coaching that we are at 4-3 while we're watching these kind of things develop on the field, as opposed like this team could be 1-5. Right. Yeah, exactly. 1-6. Yeah. Real easily, guys. So, I think, that's the takeaway I've got from
that. Keith asked, where's that giant tight end we got from the Chargers? Can't remember his name. I think he was still on the practice squad last year.
Donald Parham. He has not. I don't think he's been elevated from the practice squad yet. That just to me means that it's not. He's not. The offensive staff doesn't think he's ready to do what is required of a tight end in this offense. So,
I think Kroll is doing enough for right now. I don't think Kroll's not the answer moving forward long term, but I mean, he was 3 for 4 in this game. So, okay.
Yeah.
Jared, any other thoughts offense-wise, coaching-wise? I know we've kind of touched on Sean Payton, but I mean, it's hard to criticize the coaching too much when you win the game, but what did you guys see from that aspect?
Yeah, I thought it was a really creative game from Sean Payton. Honestly, I feel like there were times when the offense, I mean, we've talked about it already. There were times when the offense didn't execute play designs that schemed players wide open. I don't know. I feel like maybe we just got caught in a Sean Payton September, right? Like maybe we just got, it didn't look good because Sean Payton doesn't look good in September historically, and also because he's playing a rookie quarterback for the first time in his career as a head coach in week 1. So maybe that's just now that things are coalescing a little bit because the offense has more time together, right?
Yeah, I like the scheme. I like the fact that we went with a hot hand. Javonte Williams had 14 carries. And I think the fact that he was getting those yards, I mean, I don't have his yards per carry here, but 14 carries for 88 yards. Like, he was absolutely demolishing that defense. And the fact that we kind of kept to the run. So we had 35 runs to 26 pass attempts. He did not have a great passing game, only 164 yards, 16 for 26, 10 incompletions. No interceptions, luckily. He had one that should have been intercepted. Straight to the defender. Straight to the defender. But ultimately, I'd like to see this. And not for nothing, 10 of those runs were Bo Nix, and I think only 2 of them were designed runs. The rest of them were him taking off. So if you take those, 8 away, we're looking at about a 50-50 split here on runs to pass. And I want to see that more, if not a little bit more heavy into the run game going forward. But obviously that obviously matters about the field position, where we are in the game. If we're behind, obviously we're trying to catch up a little bit and trying to get extra yards. But I like the fact that he only threw for 26 times. If you count the other 8, he threw for 30, 35-ish, 34, which is a lot, right, of passing plays when we're running as well as we are. So that'd be my only my only criticism of Sean Payton in that game is I feel like we should have kept to the ground game a little bit more. But again, he's trying to develop his young quarterback. And you're not going to develop if you're not throwing the ball. And in a game like that where we win 33-10, why not give him the chance to throw the ball around and learn from his mistakes and get that out there? So, maybe in the second half of the season we see the growth. Maybe it's not till next year, but whatever it is, we're getting to see the growth as we're watching it.
I think one thing that might change a little bit more of the complexion of this offense when Bo Nix gets good at it is play action passing. I think that's going to help the quick game. I think it's going to help the deep game because, and obviously it's going to help the run game, but the run game's coming along right now. Like right now is the time where I think you start to really hammer home those principles because I think teams have to respect the run a little bit more. Javonte Williams keeps coming along a little bit more in every week. You've got Jaleel McLaughlin in there. You've got Audric Estime. I love you. Stop fumbling. Hold that ball. Hold it. You hold it right now.
We can only make excuses for you so long until it's like, okay, dude.
Right. Even rookies don't just fumble all the time. Come on, buddy.
Yeah. But listen here though. Like Javonte, Jaleel, and Estime all had over 10-yard runs, right? And you're talking about a 10-yard run. That's really going to change the mind of the defense on what they're going to do. So those play actions are there. Like the longest for Javonte was 20. Jaleel had a 21-yard run, and Estime had a 13-yard run. So when any one of those guys have breakout for first down runs, like it's going to put the defense on their heels, and that's what's going to open up that play action like you were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Paula, how you doing? As we were talking about Sean Payton, do want to shout out really quickly, tip of the hat to him. 8th head coach in NFL history, beating all 32 NFL teams. So just another mark on his record on his way over to Canton. So big news for him.
He's definitely gone.
Hey guys, go for it.
Before we go into halftime, I got one more thing that I want to say. Okay, all right. Well,
go for it.
I'm just gonna say it. So I was watching interview with Peyton Manning the other day, and he was talking about how his first season he set the interceptions record.
Yep.
And in any other year in the past, other than the past maybe let's say 5, you take a look at what Bo Nix has done. And the capabilities that he has and the amount of learning and the stuff that he needs to fix is not things that are like, he just can't read a field or he just can't, right? Like his brain processing isn't fast enough. Like those are things that you can't really fix. The things that are that we're seeing are things that can be fixed. Footwork, sure. Right? That's easy. Like that. I mean, not easy, right? We're all not NFL coaches, but it's easier to fix. So if we look at it in a big grand scheme of things, again, you talked about it. We're 4-3 right now with a rookie quarterback who is actually playing pretty decently well for the amount of times that he's thrown the ball in the first 7 games. And we have to be proud of where they're at right now, especially what we expected going into this season. So I got tip of my hat to Bo Nix and what he's been doing. Peyton Manning said it. He's hoping that there's a rookie quarterback that sets his interception, fixes his interception record. But I don't think that's ever going to happen in today's league because we are way too much of a win now mentality. They're going to pull him before they let that happen. And then you saw what happened to Peyton Manning as it went forward. I think we're coming off a win. It's weird saying this, but we got to be patient with Bo Nix, and I think it's there. And I think that we have our future quarterback, and that game really kind of solidified it for me.
Cody Barton. We haven't said his name yet. Cody freaking Barton. This guy is good, man.
Cody Barton.
Defense in general, but
yeah. Ooh. Cody Barton has played well. I don't know. I just had to kick Jared off. I don't know. It felt good for me. I needed to feel some power. And so he's banished, but he's back now. Cody Barton's played well this year. I thought it was interesting that they put Quan Alexander out there as opposed to Justin Stranad for large portions of the game, but I never really saw anybody get exposed there. I do think Cody Barton may have benefited a little bit from literally all of New Orleans skill players besides Alvin Kamara being hurt. But credit to that defense also for going into that game and playing their game. right? You're missing Pat Surtain, but the New Orleans offense has nobody. And if you go out there and look just completely incompetent against nobody and try to explain it away as a Thursday night thing, it feels kind of like same old Broncos, right? And instead you went out there and you played your game and you held them to 3 points until the last drive of the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Which garbage time. So whatever, that's why we got our touchdown against the Chargers. The whole fourth quarter was garbage time. Whatever.
Right.
You want it? Sure. There you go.
Right. Exactly.
But Michael, you're right. Look, and what David, you're saying, the run game looked good. I'd say, I don't want to say just because New Orleans is depleted. That helped. But you also got McGlinchey back, And maybe that was the fire that got Javonte over whatever hump he's been trying to get over. And now he's like, cool, I got my mojo back. I got my groove back. Let's go do this. But yeah, interesting. But let's see. Yeah, going to the French Quarter to look for players. That's probably something they should be doing.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It was their offense. This is the craziest part. Is like their offense was depleted. Like we know that our defense is a top tier defense regardless, and it just took complete advantage of the fact that they had nobody, right? No quarterback, no. And I feel bad for Spencer Rattler for that being a game that he had to play. Because he's not. I don't think he's bad, and honestly, I don't think he played really that bad against us. He just got pressured way too much, and the offensive line depletions, the wide receivers, there was nothing that they really could have done. But their defense was not that depleted, and we still got to run the ball all over them, and it just feels good being able to run the ball against an NFL team. Like it just does.
Yeah.
It's been a while since the Broncos have been a team that could, kick the other team when they're down. Yeah, we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Sorry, David.
No, not at all. Thursday night, especially, right? Like that's, again, I've harped on this point a couple of times, but still, anything can happen on a Thursday night, right? It doesn't matter who you're playing. It doesn't matter what your record is, what their record is. Anything can happen because it's a short week. And instead of using that as an excuse, they went out there and took care of business because they won.
Well, let's see. Jared, your beard is looking clean, by the way. You clean it very nicely, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Looks good. The man Barton has filled Singleton's shoes nicely. I'm super impressed with our defense. And Benito, it's another name we haven't heard of. Has Benito had a game or a sack every single game? I think he has.
It feels like it, right? And man, I feel like he was close on like 3 other sacks. Like I feel like he was just slipping on the turf at Spencer Rattler's feet, or the ball was getting out a half second before he got the man's got a real quick get off. He's not gonna, I don't think, ever be like a complete NFL edge player as far as run defense and that goes. But man, he's got some speed moves. Absolutely,
he's a threat.
Yeah, and if anything, it gets the pressure. Like he may not be finishing it, but getting the pressure to get the quarterback worried or moving out of a comfort zone. That's where our defensive backs come in, and that's where they play the best, right? You get him a little worried, get him off step of what we were talking about with Bo Nix, right? Get him off step of his throws, and then that's where our DBs can take advantage of it. And I think that's just what the beauty of our defense is. They're going to make those throws, they're going to make those mistakes, and we're going to capitalize on that, right? The strip sack interception. Did that end up for Barton? Did that end up count as an interception or a fumble return?
I think they called it. I think they went back and called it a strip sack. It was originally an interception, and I think they changed it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that ball never hit the ground, so Barton just absolutely, obviously right place, right time, just kind of ball fell into his hands. But great defensive play. Just in general, our defense, I think, is just playing at an elite level. And I think we talked about the Panthers game, and as we get ready to transition before halftime. Sorry to cut you off here, but before we transition, as we get ready to go into the Panthers game, we're going to see a little bit more of the same of a depleted team. We're talking about possibly going, 6-3 or 5-3, right? 5-3 going into Ravens and the Chiefs. Because, I think the Ravens are going to be our biggest one, but we can't overlook the Panthers. We just can't.
No, we were talking about this a little earlier. That Ravens game, I think, is going to be a travesty, but we'll get there when we get there. We're talking about the Panthers now. And Kevin, plug us.
Well, I was going to say, first off, any other closing thoughts as we move on past the Saints game? Anything else?
Bo Nix's first primetime win builds the confidence. I love it. and I think that we're ready to go. Again, happy to be 4-3 in this point right now. Can't ask for much better.
Absolutely.
Love it. Okay, guys, it's halftime here at Bourbon Broncos No BS. You know that means it is time for a bunch of plugs, and we are going to transition over to Week 8 as the Broncos get ready to take on the JV team of the NFL right now, the Carolina Panthers. And we are going to talk about how that's hopefully not a trap game, but stuff there. So make sure you guys are subscribing, you're liking, you're following, you're commenting, you're sharing, you're doing all the things. Do them all. That helps us out a ton more than anything else. Appreciate you guys all being here and tuning in. But if you want to help out just a little bit more, hit that share button, comment. All that helps out the algorithm and boosts us all over the place. If you guys are thirsty, I got you covered. Make sure you go check out some of this Breckenridge Distillery Broncos Champion Blend. They also got the vodka as well. Delicious stuff. So make sure I'm always out because as soon as I get some, it's like gone almost. So make sure you guys check them out and grab some as well. If you go to the Broncos game in Lot C, they're usually giving out free samples, and who doesn't love a free shot basically while you're tailgating? So yeah, make sure you check them out there as well, guys. Pre-game podcast comes out end of the week. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. I said that already. Wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there. I'm finding podcast places I've never heard of and finding us there somehow. So we're there. I guarantee it. Just make sure you download us and hit that play button for all those podcasts, both pre-game and post-game. Sundays or game days anyway, we also have our live show 1 hour before kickoff, the Tailgate Talk. Breaking down everything last minute before the game to include that week's inactive list, as well as the live halftime show. Guys, we are the original live halftime show here at Bourbon Broncos No BS. So ignore all the other people who are doing it now and come on over here because we're more fun. As soon as halftime starts, we're live. Come on over, post your comments, post your questions about everything from the first half, and we'll get ready for the second half and have a good time there. Guys, this is our 9th year doing it. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're going to be sticking around for the long haul, and I hope you guys are as well. That being said, guys, I think all the players got all their their orange slices. Jared is off getting his little halftime snack, and it's time, man. Time to come out of the locker room and break it down. Look, David, interesting thing here to think about as we go into this. Panthers pass defense is ranked 26th in the league. Baltimore is ranked 32nd. So could this be a throwing game in preparation for the Baltimore Ravens?
I don't want to hear in preparation for the Baltimore Ravens. We're not doing that.
Just saying.
We're not doing it, Kevin. We're not doing it. What we
I
are
was
doing.
trying to see if I was going to lead you down that track.
No, I won't do it. I won't go there.
Why don't we want to skip the Panthers, David? Aren't they a bunch of nobodies?
I'll tell you why. Because the Broncos at 4-3 are not good enough to overlook anybody. I don't care what their record is. There are no 0-7 teams in the NFL right now, but if there were, the Broncos would not be good enough to go into that game and say, yeah, we're going to win this game comfortably. Yeah. They're not that team, guys. It's not like that. We were talking about this game before the start of the show, guys, and there is this very real outcome where the Broncos win this game 17-16 or something really stupid like that. And I don't want to see it, but that's a thing that could happen because, like I said, the Broncos are not that good. Everybody, let's take the confidence down just a smidge.
Be proud of where they are. Be proud of the progress. Be proud of the record, but don't get overconfident. Gears are turning, Jared.
They are. I want to say this game is obviously winnable, right? Yes, they're 1-6. The teams that have beat them, the Commanders absolutely destroyed them this last week. The Falcons, who are playing very well, the Bears, who are playing very well, the Bengals, surprisingly, are not playing very well, but got the one up on them. The Chargers, who we also lost to, and then they beat the Saints. They lost to the Saints at the beginning of the season when they had full health. So I don't think, as we're looking at this, that it's going to be as easy of a rollover as everybody is expecting it to be. And when you look at that Saints game, you look at the depleted teams. Yes, we had a very good showing in that aspect. Can we get to Andy Dalton if he plays? Prayers to him. He got involved in an automobile accident earlier today. He didn't go to the hospital, but he's being evaluated. I think he'll be fine. But prayers over to him. if Andy Dalton plays, he is somebody that can take advantage. He's a very, very smart quarterback. He's going to be smart with the ball. The turnovers are probably going to be minimal unless we can get some sort of fumble or fumble recovery. And they don't have a really good run game, so we have that going for us. So other than that, like, can our offense be successful 2 weeks in a row? Now, the other thing that we got to look at, and that's concerning me, is yes, we scored 33 points last week. 7 of those came off of defense. We didn't show it against the Chargers. We could not score until garbage time against the Chargers. And before that, like, we're having a tough time scoring on offense, and this defense is not something to kind of balk at. Yes, I want to see another New Orleans style game where we run the ball 35 times, we pass it 25 times, and we win the game by two scores. If we can win this game by 10 points, I'll be happy. But that's got to be the rest. We have to run the ball.
Yeah, I love it.
There's a lot going on now. If you look at possibly returning players, you're also keep in mind Pat Surtain is set to return for this game, as well as potentially Alex Palczewski, which would bolster that offensive line even more. So, interesting things there, guys. I hate the idea of the Broncos losing this game, but it is a very real possibility. Just in that this is a trap game, and the Broncos, I don't think, have been on this side of a trap game in a very long time. Maybe you could say this last week against the Saints, but this one especially. And, you have to be able to take care of the bad teams when they come to when you're the home team. And that's something we haven't really seen from the Broncos too much this year, especially the Steelers game. They're playing at home has been rough for the team this year. Okay.
Yeah, we only have one win at home right now.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, come off this week, this Thursday night game, bring that momentum and energy into the field, man. We didn't see that carry over from the two game win streak on the road. They came into Denver and kind of were like, meh, or no, that's when they beat the Raiders.
So we beat the Raiders. We went 3 in a row. We beat the Raiders coming in, and then just dropped a giant deuce on the field against the Chargers. And I still don't, looking back on that game, man, I do not know what we did and why. And it was a mess to begin. It was a mess from the start. They should have won that
game. They should have won that game.
And it really came down to Pat Surtain getting injured early. And I think that just took the energy. Like, we are an energy team. That's the one thing I've noticed about this team this year. It really comes down to energy. You saw it in the Raiders game. We were down. They were about to score. We get the pick six. Our energy picks up. We score 34 points. Right? Against the Saints. Right? Like, it was a slow going game. We get a big score, and all of a sudden the energy's up, and we're good to go. Javonte is just running all over the field. People are excited, and we get going. We are an energy team. In the Chargers game, we lost it as soon as we lost Pat Surtain. In that game, we lost our energy. So having him come back is going to be huge for us.
Yeah.
Would you say from your coaching experience that is just an indicator or something common among younger, inexperienced teams? Those momentum shifts have a bigger impact, and it's harder to sway it back your direction once you lose it.
To clarify before you start, Jared, I wanted the audience to know Jared coached an amateur rugby team in New Zealand. New Zealand,
true.
From
they got third place nationally, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They got all the way up to third place. Now their league was, I think it was 17 levels below professional league rugby in New Zealand. Jared, am I saying that right? But still, third place nationally.
First of all, 16. Put some respect on it.
Thank you. No, thank you. I thought that was an audience note that everybody you need context in this business.
Yeah,
that's really important.
So, in general, even at the high school level, man, like when you're talking about like getting down and players getting down on themselves, it is hard. It's tough. It's tough to come back from, especially if you're down on the scoreboard, to get that motivation to go in, and it comes into the locker room, right? You rely on your leaders on the field to be able to get that up. There's only so many times an adult, and again, I'm talking about high school. There's only so many times an adult can be like, guys, we got this. It's okay. We got this. That they're like, okay, shut up, dude. Like, like you're not out there getting the shit beat out of you, right? And I'm sure it happens in the NFL too, right? I'm sure they go to the sideline like, coach, you're not the one getting the shit beat out of you right now. But in general, I think it is a big impact on. But what it does tell you is it tells you that the guys believe in each other. And eventually, yes, as they grow and as they have that belief, we have not had that belief. And a lot of these guys, even the ones that have been on the team, Cortland Sutton, for example, the ones that have been on the team for a little bit longer, they are not used to this. Like, think of the Russell Wilson era. How many times did we have the ball to go down the drive to win the game, and we just messed it all up?
Yeah.
Because we just had no faith in the team to be able to do it. And I think that faith is there now. Right? We have that faith that get us into that close game. We have the faith that we can go finish this out, and that's something that we haven't seen in a long time. So it gives me a lot of energy for that. That Chargers game got out of hand real quick. As soon as we lost Pastor Tan, we lost the drive on the defense, and that energy on the defense, and it just kind of got out of hand real quick until the very end.
It's the one thing we have going for us. You lose the defense, I don't know what else you can do.
Yeah.
But let me say this: this might just be blind, baseless optimism, but I feel like Sean Payton isn't going to lose to the NFC South. Sean Payton is used to being the king of the NFC South. We saw him take the fight to Todd Bowles. It's 2-0 against the NFC South so far, even against his own team, who he's never played before. So I feel like if anybody's going to just go in on a game and just absolutely dismantle the Panthers, it's going to be Sean Payton, because Sean Payton knows how to dismantle the Panthers.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing about this whole. Again, I'm back on the momentum shift and everything, right? So if you look at any team and a new coach that comes in, right now we were spoiled. The Denver Broncos were spoiled. We got a new head coach and won a Super Bowl that first year, right? Like that is just absolutely spoiled. It takes a while to build a culture. It takes a while to build your team and build a culture. And what we're seeing is Sean Payton build his culture. And if you watch the post game, the post game with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, who both came on and talked to the Thursday Night Football announcers or whatever. Bo Nix had nothing but great things to say about Sean Payton. And even in the, they talked about their argument or whatever. He was like, yeah, I told him I loved him. Right. And all the players are having that faith in Sean Payton. And once they get that faith in Bo Nix, then it's a different game. It's a different game. And I think what you're seeing is we've won 4 of the last 5. And you're seeing a team that is starting to have a little bit of faith in their quarterback, a lot of faith in their coaching staff. And once you have that, that's what ended up happening in New England. You have faith in your quarterback, you have faith in your coaching staff, and then you start winning games because you have that faith, and you can trust that they're making the right decisions, and that you can win the games if you put it in their hands.
So what you're saying is Bo Nix is the next Tom Brady, and we're on a path to.
You heard it here first. Jared said
what I'm saying is
Bo Nix is the next Tom Brady. Quote it.
I will say that if we can get the ball in Bo Nix's hand with 2 or 2.5 minutes left to drive down the field to win the game, I think Bo Nix can do it. And once I see that, and I just don't know if he's there yet, but I know he can. He has the capability to. Once we can see that, that's when you're going to see this team take it to the next level.
Michael, I love this comment. Broncos fans are so scared to get cocky. Yeah.
We've been hurt before.
We came from below ground level of like hiding and like feeling like crap for the last 9 years, and finally there's a little ray of sun, and we don't want somebody to come by, step on us, and push us right back down. So I like to pretend that I'm cocky, but I'm not.
You should be scared to get cocky. Be scared.
Yeah,
I've been hurt before.
You've been hurt excited, too many times.
Too many times.
It's scary. Keith, they have to believe. I believe. I just, I'm also know that you could lose a game as well. That is a possibility.
Good.
Ken says, 1, just win. 2, play clean, minimize penalties. That's a huge one for sure. 3, convert on third and in red zone. That would be a good game. It doesn't have to be a 40-point blowout. I'm looking for Bo Nix to make those small improvements. Can he calm down the footwork a little bit? Can you see that internal clock slow down just a little bit? And can he, hit on some of those? And just how many have we seen any pass this year? Or maybe more than a couple that were like, man, he threaded that one. I can't think of any.
I can think of a few.
A couple.
Yeah, I can think of a few.
Maybe,
I feel like
I'm not saying there weren't any. I'm just saying I couldn't think of any. So
I'll say this: it's crazy to watch him because, like, there's times where he misses wide open wide receivers on the third down, critical third down, and we're like, man, like if he just had that, like we'd be alive on this drive. And then there's other times where like, he's got nothing, and then he converts the third down, and you're like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. So he has the capability, right? He has it. We just need to see it be more consistent. And even if it's 75% of the time, if you're converting on third down, you've got a good team. And that's I just want to see it a little bit, sway a little bit more into the offense's favor on that.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. Larry, listen, if you come to the show 47 minutes in, everybody's kind of on their second bourbon by now. Mine's out of itself. I don't know what happened, but the bourbon is in us, not in the cups. That is how the show go.
Need that refresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you fellas this, and as we transition not only into this Carolina game, but for the just generally for the rest of the season, what outside of Bo Nix is one area on offense that you just want to see develop in a really meaningful way? Is that really? Do you think he's kind of the final piece of the puzzle there, and everybody's operating elsewise, at the level they want to, or what do you see?
I think he's a huge part of it, obviously, but I think separate from that, I really want to see more from these younger running backs. I want to see Estime, one, not fumble, and two, kind of really step it up when he's out there. I want to see more from McLaughlin. We've seen him do a whole lot more at the end of last year and kind of petered away, right? We're also waiting for not P. Ryan. We're also waiting for what's his name to come back. Bidet. Bidet's supposed to be coming back. Did you forget about him? He was looking real good before he went down.
Yeah.
So look, I think there's some really and for all the credit that we can give to Javonte Williams for everything, and just hopefully he keeps up what he did this last week. But man, we got to see some more explosive talent from what we've drafted and what we've collected back there. We have some young talent, and we just can't lean on Javonte for every single game. So who else is going to be? Who are we going to keep moving forward? I think they need to develop back there as well.
Yeah, well, what I'm seeing in the run game is they're trying to play the hot hand. Javonte was just the hot hand in that game. All of them, again, had big runs, and it seemed like no matter who we got the ball to, I just want to see the consistency in the run game. Yeah, Michael, I want to see the consistency there. Like, obviously, that Saints game was the start of what I'd like to see, but I'd like to see more consistency in that run game. But I think Javonte can be our 3-down back, and getting Jaleel and Estime in there. But what you're going to see is, again, with the culture, is you're going to see Javonte be our 3-down back, but you're going to see McLaughlin and Estime in a little bit more of a Joker type role. And I like that. I'm okay with that. The speed guys on the outside, and just get Javonte in between the tackles. Get 2 running back sets back there. We haven't seen that much often. I'd like to see that a little bit more. Get 2 running back sets back there so you don't know where the ball's going. Get some misdirection going. That's what I want to see in the run game. I want to see the run game just be a little bit more consistent and pick up.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see, Gary, the receiving game needs to work on timing, and I think that goes hand in hand with Bo as well, and just building that chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think Cam Newton is going to become a running back, Larry, and I'm starting to think you're not a Broncos fan. I don't know how our defense could be better. What are you? Who?
Yeah, I'm not.
I think our defense is doing pretty damn good.
I think maybe Larry has been the one indulging on a few drinks here this evening.
Larry, back off on those Miller Lights, bud.
It's it's part of the show. But anyway, we've got. Let's see. He's getting better, Michael says, but he's Peyton has the best asset I think that Bo has, and I hope that's true. Like it does feel like the stink of it that you can put on Peyton for the offense not moving the ball well has really kind of moved off of him in as the season has gone along. And maybe it was never there and it was all Bo. I don't know. I'm not good enough of an analyst to say these things, but at the very least right now, right? Like it does feel like Peyton is really kind of cooking things up as far as play calling goes, and now the offense just kind of has to go do it. So yeah, in that sense, I think that Peyton is the best asset that Bo Nix has. They've just got to, marry up a little bit more. Just tighten.
I think that just takes time. Yeah, I really do. You're starting to see it a little bit more. Like the fact that we're getting wide open players just makes me happy, right? The scheme's working. We just got to get on the same page, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to be. We knew it going into the season. This is not going to be a this season thing that all of a sudden he's going to be firing all cylinders. And so far, it's working out better than we thought it would. And we have to take that as a win and just keep developing on that to the point where all of a sudden now we're getting super mad about losses as opposed to be like, yeah, all right, is a rookie.
Yeah.
No, by this point of the year, I fully anticipated us to be talking about Bo Nix maybe being a solid step or two ahead of where he is now, but looking at a 2-5 record is what I really, really envisioned us being in. Like, okay, well, Bo Nix is improving, but we're 2-5. Like the win-loss doesn't matter. So we're kind of in this weird situation where Bo Nix is progressing, not as far as I'd like personally, but everyone learns at their own pace and they're doing what they can, and he's on the right track. But now we're 4-3. Yeah, like, okay, do we need to put more emphasis on winning the game? It's just it's a fun situation to be in because I don't think we'd be doing this kind of talk.
Yeah, and the cool part about it is what you're seeing is Sean Payton is challenging Bo Nix. Because it's not like he's giving him a basic playbook and saying, okay, we're going to take it one step at a time. Like, he's not there. He has not mastered the basic playbook yet, and he's still giving him more additional stuff to work on. So you're seeing him grow exponentially comparative to what you probably could see. Like, even in Washington, what's his name? It's got hurt, I think.
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels is operating on more of a basic playbook, but he's operating and he's perfecting that basic playbook, and it's obviously working out well for them. They also have an elite defense. But you're also talking about Bo Nix is being challenged a little bit more. And I think Sean Payton is asking more from his quarterback than what they're asking for Jaden Daniels in Washington. And it's because they know that he can be better and they know that they have that next step. And it's just going to take a little bit of time. We just got to be patient with it.
Yeah, and this, I think Larry does have a good point real quick here, is that I does feel like maybe there is a little bit more of an effort to cater the offenses in Chicago and Washington to what those quarterbacks already do well. And I think there's some of that with Sean Payton and Bo Nix here, but it also does feel like, and this has felt true to me since the season started, Sean Payton has given Bo Nix his offense and said, this is what we do. This is what I do. This is why I drafted you. Learn it and do it. And it's a lot. And I think that honestly is as much of a part of it as anything else, right? That you've seen this year with his struggles is it's a lot of an offense, and Bo Nix is trying to do it. And I think he's being given a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage. I think he's being given a lot of responsibility in the huddle. And I think that is a part of why you're seeing him struggle so much right now.
Yeah. And there's two things about that. One, are you able to keep that in the long run for Washington, Chicago, right? Like time will tell, obviously, whether or not you can keep that. Look at RG3, somebody like that who came in the league and they worked around his strengths and was very successful very early. And then you just figured out what it was that you needed to stop, and then you stopped it, and he didn't have any other capabilities. And the other thing, too, I'll give Sean Payton credit. They are a little bit working on using Bo Nix's legs as a like there's been a couple plays where they've called it for Bo Nix to keep it, and it's worked out well. Or the bootlegs, like we talked about that. When was the last time you saw that many bootlegs in a game? Right, using his legs to get him outside of the pocket. And give him the opportunity to run if he needs to be able to pick up a few yards if we need it. I do believe that there is a give and take there. Yes, it's probably about 85% towards the Sean Payton offense, but there is a little bit of give of like, hey, Bo, you want to run it? Take it if you need it, right? So I do think that it is there. It's just not perfected yet, and you can't expect that 7 games into a rookie season.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this conversation is great. And for anyone who wants to hear more of it in terms of pregame talk, you're going to have to check out the pregame podcast later this week. So make sure you tune back in. We're putting that up on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. No later than Saturday morning. It'll be up, guys, if not by Friday night. So make sure you check that out. Once again, David, I do appreciate you volunteering to be our the bourbon boy there. Gary had a good idea. I'm going to nominate you for that as well. Second. So
never heard the
whenever
title
you get a
Bourbon
chance,
Boy, but I don't hate it.
whenever you get a chance, buddy,
go ahead and send the refill.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Guys, don't forget about all of our other content. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, Facebook, Loki. My dog is trying to help tell you where to go as well. Podcasts, we got those game day stuff. I told you about that 1 hour before kickoff. We're live. Halftime, we're live as well. We try to give you guys best Bronco content as we possibly can. For everybody who's tuning in, Larry, Michael, Larry, I think you're new, but appreciate you tuning in. Michael, I think maybe I've seen you before. Appreciate it. Ken is usually always here. Roy, you're turning into a regular. That's awesome. Keith, I can't name everybody. Terry, appreciate you all tuning in. We're going to keep doing this as long as you guys keep tuning back in. So we're going to get some closing comments here in just a second as we close out the show. But more importantly than anything, appreciate all of you, the fans tuning in and just saying, what do these jokers have to talk about tonight? Hopefully make it a little fun for you along the way. That being said, guys, David, closing thoughts, buddy. Broncos. Here we go.
Broncos. Guys, I know how I started the show. I know what I said.
You started it strong. Jared didn't hear that.
Jared didn't hear it. I used the P word, Jared.
He did.
Now, I'm going to use it again to end the show. We're bookending it with the P word, fellas.
I'm going to need more to drink for this.
Well, quickly. I think if the Broncos exit this 3-game stretch that they've got coming up, Carolina, Kansas City, Baltimore, Kansas City. If you exit that 3-game stretch at 6-4, this team is playoff bound. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it right now. If you don't, even if you're 5-5, I think we're done. I think that's it. I think you're done for the season as far as the playoffs go. I think you're thinking about next year.
We could be talking winning season. We could focus on just the winning season.
You can still talk 9-8. You can still fulfill the win total that I had for you, 8 or 9 wins going into the season. But I think if you get to 6-4, you've got something.
With 7 games left, you're telling me you're not going to win 3 or 4 more games?
You're not going to beat.
I think you're good.
The Cleveland Browns, the Atlanta Falcons, the Raiders, or the Chargers. That's 4 games right there.
You steal another one along the way?
Anything can happen. Jared, you seem ponderous. You seem upset.
I don't think if we end 5-5 that we're not playoff bound. I don't think I'm gonna.
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and say that again. All it takes is us to get significantly better, obviously on the offensive side of the ball, and our defense to keep playing the way that they've been playing. And I think we can steal a few of those games. Right, we have after this rough road stretch, which sucks. Right, at the Ravens, at the Chiefs, we got Falcons, Raiders, Browns, Colts, who have been struggling. Chargers again, who I can't believe we lost. Bengals, who have been struggling, and then the Chiefs to finish out the season. I don't think this is a lost season, and I'm not going to say it. And if I have to take out my abacus, yes, I said it right for that reason. If I have to take out my abacus to let you know that we're not mathematically eliminated, I will. But I think that we're seeing some really good progression in the offense. I think we're seeing really good progression in our team game. We're controlling the clock. Obviously, that Chargers game, we just need to see the consistency. Can we see it against the Panthers? And then going into the Ravens game, what can we do? Do we get blown out, Ravens and Chiefs? If we get blown out, Ravens and Chiefs, yeah, I'll say it. But I think that at least the Chiefs game is going to be close.
Yeah,
I do not think that that's going to be a blowout game. And then the Ravens, yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Tune in next week so we can discuss that. But let's look ahead to the Panthers. Let's beat the Panthers on, get our second win in Mile High and hit this road stretch strong with a 6-4. Guys, we could be 5-3 at the end of this week, and that is just for me. It's just really cool to see. It's just cool.
There it is. Kev Dan, you're I don't know
You're
why you're muted, but
This is why you stick with the
Yeah.
team when they're down. You know, like
Yeah.
it's if you're like, oh, they're doing well again, I'm gonna start paying attention. Like, yeah, it's fun, but man, when you're like starting to see the start of something real and these wins, you're like, hey, there's a possibility like this could be something, and the Bo guy could be a long-term solution. We could build around him, and we have this defense that, holy crap, like where did this come from? You know, after what happened last year. And it is fun to see. It is just a whole new level of fun. So look, guys, you're all right. Everybody who said it in the comments, people who commented on our video that I posted earlier today, you're right. This could be a trap game for the Broncos. And if they're sitting there thinking about Baltimore, Sunday's going to be a real long, painful day. But I don't think that with the leadership of Sean Payton and them, I don't think they're going to allow that to happen. I think they're going to take care of business. They got to bring their A game. And I think if they do that, it's a win. And then we can talk about how big of a win or how little of a win it was, but it's very doable. So guys, thanks for tuning in again. Check out Breckenridge Distillery. Appreciate them. Appreciate all you guys. David, Jared, you guys are fantastic. Man, I don't think there's anything left to say, guys, other than to end this, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Take care, guys. See you next time.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show, in the zone, here I go, in the